I don't recall something so inconsequential, at least as it seemed at the time, causing such a big drama and upset in a World Tour GC classification. This was the last stage of the UAE Tour, the Queen stage, Jebel Hafeet, 25 to 30 minute climb. Adam Yates has usually been the best on this climb, but he had to abandon this race. Vine, his teammate, defending a narrow GC lead of 11 seconds ahead of O'Connor, with another UAE rider, McNulty, in third. But if you want to get the most out of your training, you have to download the Join Cycling app, the best adaptive training platform on the market, with true adaptive training plans for your goals, your availability, and your progress. There's a free 30-day trial specifically for you viewers through the link down below. Go and check it out. But for GC here, Bilbao was also knocking at the door, 30 seconds back. He's been good at her feet. Decathlon have looked fantastic. It was all about what would UAE do, and there was also a threat of crosswinds.
I expect some big crosswinds for the second half of the stage, so yeah, for sure, yeah, you need to be a good climber for the final, but it's not so straightforward, so yeah, I think it's for somebody today who has the whole package, I think.
And so sometimes when they roll out, the peloton's facing 100 watts all the way to the base of these climbs. On other days, like today, the desert and the wind has different ideas. DSM were ready and prepared, like Max Poole said before the stage, but Vine was having to do a lot of work. He was really at the front, eating a lot of wind in this crosswind phase. He was there with Oliveira and Milano. You can see the wind coming from their left shoulder. And who was off the back? Pello Bilbao, fifth in the standings, one of the big threats on Jebel Hafeet, and also behind, at least I'm pretty sure he hid for a lot of this, Lennart van Eetvelt on Lotto Destiny. And so the guys in Group 2, at least I couldn't get a clear read of his number, but I'm pretty sure that's him. The guys in Group 2, they almost hid more from the wind than the guys in Group 1, which is a risk. Maybe it never comes back together, whereas O'Connor, Vine, they were eating a lot more wind, and eventually it does start to come back together, although curiously, it's quick-step pulling. They've got Bilbao and Van Eetvelt in the group. Van Wilder's made the lead group, their leader on GC, and for some reason Van Sevenant and co pulled that group back together, or at least help it come back together, which probably cost Van Wilder some GC positions at the end, but it does come back together, but at what cost? Like, this has been a couple of hours of crosswind action. It's suddenly turned into a very, very difficult stage. Will UAE and McNulty, who didn't look good on the crosswinds, be able to defend Vine, and will O'Connor be able to put him under pressure? Here they come into the base of the climb. It was a strong headwind today, which means you would need teammates to set a pace for you, and attacking really early would be very, very difficult. Bookman, who'd been in the breakaway, leaves Dillier and Ricard at the base to set his own tempo, and it wasn't looking good for UAE Team Emirates. McNulty dropping very, very early off the pacing of Decathlon Age Desert. They have Amirel, then Prudhomme, then Valentin Paris-Peintre before O'Connor. And Vine was moving up ahead of Bjerg in the wind, taking that position, thinking maybe O'Connor's about to attack. But the gap wasn't really changing to Bookman much. It was 1:12, 1:13. Bjerg comes to the front for UAE to start pacing until all of a sudden it looked like he had a mechanical. He gets on the radio, the race leader, Jay Vine. He starts to slide back through the group. And usually when you see a rider on the radio and then they plummet back, you think, oh, it's a mechanical, but in fact, he wasn't feeling it today. Perhaps the crosswinds before made it more difficult for he and McNulty, and now O'Connor's in the hot seat. O'Connor's virtual GC leader with Vine really dropped early, and so they transitioned to defensive mode, because Bilbao's only 11 seconds behind O'Connor, and so Bahrain, not letting Decathlon do that, put Torsten Trine, the new signing, on the front, and they start to really ramp up the pace. Harold Martin Lopez on Astana, Kazakhstan there, and predictably, here comes the attack from Bilbao. You have to attack at about this phase, because it levels off with about 2Ks to go before kicking back up at the finish, and then it was chaos from here on out. We've not seen this many riders in the men's edition attacking each other this deep into Hafeet for a number of years. Normally it's been the Poggy or Adam Yates show for the last 3 or 4 years, and Bilbao was putting O'Connor under pressure. Lemon closing him, Walter staying in the wheels, Van Aertveldt's following. He's not done any extra efforts yet. Poole goes, Verona goes, Poole goes again, Rubio closing him, and now there's the last steep section. This big curve, it kicks up in this hairpin, wide hairpin, and Bilbao goes on the steeper inside section. No response for O'Connor. And it looked like Bilbao only needs to win the stage and take about 5 or 6 seconds, but Van Aertveldt tips his hand and says, I'm feeling good. He closes it. The curious thing for O'Connor here is he attacks across this gap. It's a really sharp effort for considering Bilbao slowing down a lot, unless he was really worried about Walter coming across. I feel like that's putting him into the red a bit too much. And here you can see the crest. Walter accelerates again, and O'Connor's just had to close everything. Storer goes, and finally O'Connor and Bilbao can't close it down, with Van Aertveldt getting across to Storer, relaying. Van Wilden in the Young Riders classification jersey not able to follow or relay, and Van Aertveldt goes again. This guy, if you look at his training numbers all across winter, if you see him in Mallorca, if you watch those races against Vlasov and McNulty when they were flying, he's been carrying some good shape in this early part of the year, and he's got a big gap all of a sudden with 1K to go, with Van Wilder pacing. And Bilbao's sort of half pacing, half attacking O'Connor still. Van Aertveldt was 26 seconds behind O'Connor on GC and even less behind Bilbao, but with 10 bonus seconds at the line and suddenly a really, really big gap. It's not just a stage win on offer, and he knows that, rides through the line, no early celebration, and the clock is ticking. Round this left-hand sweeper, and the clock ticks to 22 seconds back for Ben O'Connor. He takes 4 bonus seconds. Van Aertveldt takes the 10 bonus seconds. Everyone's quickly doing their maths of what that means for GC. The riders don't know yet. Bilbao second, then O'Connor, then Storer, Walter, Verona, Van Wilder, Rivera, Rubio, Lemon. But what we quickly remember is Van Aertveldt took 6 seconds for free in the breakaway back on Friday. He went in a breakaway on the flat stage and just rolled through and basically had a day doing some tempo intervals, took 6 uncontested seconds, and that's enough to tip the scales in GC, winning GC in a World Tour race by 2 seconds ahead of O'Connor, 11 seconds ahead of Bilbao. Lotto, who got relegated and are now a pro team, their first World Tour GC win in like 7 years or something. Here's what he had to say after the stage.
Lennart, this is the race won previously by Primož Roglic, Tadej Pogačar, Remco Evenepoel, and now it's you.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe it. This morning everyone was telling me, just go for everything, try to win GC, you can do it, but I was like, come on guys, we have to stay realistic. I'm still far behind like a lot of like world's best guys like Jay Vine and everyone, but this was the plan, this was what I had in my head, and I can still not believe that I pulled it off.
So a really exciting edition of Hafeet with lots of different outcomes open even in the last 300 meters of the climb. Hope you enjoyed the video. Go check out Join Cycling, and I'll see you with a recap maybe of another race tomorrow. Ciao.